You won't believe what you're about to see. A superbike that can split in half and still keep running. Fearful face. Sounds impossible. Wait till you see how this insane piece of engineering defies every law of logic. This isn't just any bike. It's the creation of a man who wanted to test the limits of what's too crazy for mechanics. He took two engines, fused them together, and then designed the frame so it could separate into two working halves. Each half, with its own wheels, engine power, and control, can move independently. At first glance, it looks like a monster on wheels, long, wide, and louder than anything you've ever heard. But when it starts, the roar feels like thunder tearing through the air. The rider grips the handlebars, twists the throttle, and in seconds, the beast comes alive. Crowds gather around, phones out, recording every moment. Because what happens next, nobody believes until they see it. The rider speeds down the track, and with a sudden jolt, the bike splits apart. Two halves, each one still moving, still alive, still perfectly balanced. One rider controls the front section, another controls the rear. It's like watching a sci-fi machine from the future, something out of a movie scene. People scream, clap, and shout in disbelief. How is this even possible? How can a machine, once split, still have power running through both sides? The answer lies in the engineering. Each half of the bike carries its own independent motor, mini-fuel system, and power control. When connected, the halves sync up electronically, running as one seamless machine. When separated, they automatically shift into independent mode. The clutch systems disengage, the sensors switch, and both sides become mini-bikes, still functional, still roaring. The creator, known only by his nickname Mad Jack, spent 3 years building this hybrid masterpiece. He worked in an old garage, using scrap parts from different superbikes, Kawasaki engines, Ducati suspension, and even electric components from a Tesla battery module. His dream, to make something no one had ever dared to attempt. When he first showed the idea online, people laughed. A bike that splits in half. Impossible. But when Mad Jack rolled it out in public, every jaw dropped. The first test almost ended in disaster. The split didn't sync perfectly, and one side toppled mid-turn, causing sparks and smoke. But that didn't stop him. He rebuilt it again, stronger, smarter, faster. By version 3, the Split Bike 3000, as fans now call it, could reach 200 km per hour even in split mode. Imagine that, two half bikes racing side by side, perfectly aligned like synchronized machines. In the video clip that went viral, Mad Jack and his assistant ride together, connected. Then at high speed, they pull the release lever. The bike cracks apart like a magic trick, yet both riders keep going. The crowd loses its mind. Every camera flashes, and the clip spreads like wildfire across social media. Millions of views in days. People started asking, is this the future of superbikes? Could this be the next step in modular transportation? Some say it's just a crazy stunt. Others believe it's a peek into the future, a design that could one day help military or rescue teams reach impossible terrains. Imagine, one bike entering a tight alley, splitting in two, and covering two directions at once. But for Mad Jack, it was never about fame or future tech. It was about proving that the impossible can be built by hand. As the sun set behind his workshop, you could still hear the echo of engines inside, the twin hearts of a beast that refused to be ordinary. A week after the viral video, engineers and YouTubers from around the world came knocking at Mad Jack's door. Everyone wanted to see the split bike in person. Journalists called it the Frankenstein of the motorcycle world. But when they saw how flawlessly it ran, the laughter stopped. Mad Jack explained the secret, a dual power transmission linked by a magnetic coupling system. When the bike splits, magnetic locks release automatically, and both engines start acting independently. Each side has its own throttle and mini ECU that keeps the balance stable. It's not just engineering, it's art. Watching it move feels like watching something alive. During one demo, a rider named Leo tested the bike on an open airstrip. The wind howled, the engines screamed, and when he hit 180 km per hour, the split command was triggered. Instantly, the two halves glided apart with perfect coordination. The front section veered left, the back went right, both staying upright as if guided by invisible strings. People watching couldn't believe their eyes. Two bikes, one mind. But not everything went smoothly. During one rainy test, the rear module lost traction and spun out, scraping across the wet asphalt. Sparks flew. Everyone held their breath. But to everyone's shock, the bike didn't shut down. It reconnected itself. Yes, the two halves automatically steered back together, guided by onboard sensors and gyros, magnetically clicking back into one single body. That's when the crowd realized, this wasn't a toy. It was a glimpse into next-generation smart mechanics. Mad Jack had built something capable of learning, a bike that could self-balance, self-correct, and self-merge. Soon, a group of mechanical students from Japan reached out, wanting to collaborate. They proposed adding AI-controlled stabilization, making the split smoother, safer, and maybe even controllable by voice command. The next version, nicknamed Hydra X, was unveiled 6 months later. Sleeker, sharper, and more intelligent than ever. Its body glowed with neon blue lights tracing every curve, and the split point was now seamless, invisible until activated. When the split happened this time, the two halves didn't just separate, they danced. One drifted sideways, the other sped straight, and then, in perfect synchronization, they rejoined, creating a move that looked choreographed by robots. It became a worldwide sensation. Millions watched, engineers analyzed, and bikers dreamed. But for Mad Jack, the story had a quiet ending. One night, during a solo test, he took the bike out to a deserted highway under the moonlight. No cameras, no crowd, just him and his creation. As he rode through the silent road, the neon lights from the bike painted the night with blue fire. The engines hummed together like twin hearts beating in sync. Then, for one final test, he pressed the release. The bike split. Both halves moved gracefully through the dark, one following the other like a reflection in motion. For a few moments, it looked like a man racing his own shadow. And when the halves merged again, Mad Jack stopped, took off his helmet, and looked up at the sky. He smiled and whispered, "Now, it's complete." That was the last test he ever did. Since then, the split bike sits quietly in his workshop, covered with dust, but still alive. Sometimes, visitors say when they walk near it, they can smell the faint scent of burnt rubber, and swear they hear a tiny electric hum, like it's waiting to run again. Because some machines aren't just built with metal. They're built with madness, passion, and the kind of imagination that never dies. And this is the story of the superbike that could split in half and still run. Fire.